What's going on, boys? GZTV. I gotta get going on content. I gotta get ready for work. I still gotta watch Dexter today. I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff going. The Wikipedia site is not loading. I don't know what's happening. Under maintenance. Jesus Christ. Okay. Wow, dude. We'll keep looking, and if not, we can just do a quick little recap. There we go. Okay. We're good now. So, we're just gonna talk about the plot and then the critical reception. You guys know how these go. So, the episode is split between a flashback to the aftermath of Rick's apparent death and the present. We know Rick's not confirmed dead, but we know he's also not, in the series anymore. So, sorry. In the flashback segments, a pregnant Michonne and Daryl look for any trace of Rick for closure, but only discover his revolver. Daryl explains his choice to go live on his own. Michonne returns to Alexandria alone. In a later time at Alexandria, Michonne watches as some strangers arrive and discover among them her old college friend Jocelyn, which is really interesting. You know, when you meet someone in this apocalypse, there's really no hope for life, and then you meet someone that you knew in a past life, and it's a really cool moment. Michonne vouches for her to the others and brings Jocelyn in for medical care, but Jocelyn urges them to recover the children she was protecting at a nearby building. They safely recover the children. That night, all of Jocelyn's children, including Judith and the other Alexandrian ones, enjoy a bonfire. So they're kind of having fun as little kids. Meanwhile, Jocelyn explains to Michonne that all the adults of her group have died, but the children have become skillful hunters. They've kind of had to learn to adapt and kind of mature very early on, kind of like Carl did. When morning comes, the Alexandrians find that Jocelyn and the children have all fled, killing at least one Alexandrian, kidnapping Judith and the other children, and stealing much of the community's food and medical supplies before fleeing into the sewers. So, they're up to no good. They're enemies. They have to fight for survival. They fight for themselves. They didn't want to be taken into this place. Daryl joins up with Michonne to track them down. Michonne laments about how she trusted Jocelyn, but Daryl convinces her that it wasn't her fault. I mean, they seemed like good-faithed people, and then all of a sudden they just stab him right in the back. It is what it is. It happens. They eventually find one of the children sneaking around at school and give chase, but they are both lured into a trap by Jocelyn and the children. Sometime later, Michonne and Daryl wake up bloodied and tied to a pipe, and realize that Jocelyn has brainwashed the children to be vicious and nearly feral. She wants these kids to, be remorseless. They have no souls anymore. They don't have a childhood. They're literally just monsters. They are then painfully branded with an iron X, a sign of strength according to Jocelyn. When they are left alone, Daryl is able to help them escape, and they decide to split up to look for the Alexandria children, who are forced into a trailer outside and presumably held hostage. In the hallway, one child slashes Michonne across her pregnant stomach with little regard to the infant she carries. I mean, obviously that child probably didn't understand that she had a child. Michonne eventually finds an exit, but is immediately beaten with a wooden plank by Jocelyn. Again, she's pregnant. However, Michonne summons the strength to stab Jocelyn in her leg and chest, killing her, so she defeats the boss, I guess, Jocelyn. Now she needs to, fend off these children and get Judith and the rest of the kids back. Michonne then tries to convince children that they can all return to Alexandria, but Mitchell, second in command of Jocelyn's group, instructs the children to kill the Alexandrian children. She is forced to kill Mitchell and begs the kids to stop, but they all refuse and charge towards Michonne, and obviously she didn't want to kill this kid. But she had to. She has to save Judith. Judith is her responsibility. Obviously Rick isn't around anymore. With no other options, Michonne is forced to kill them one by one, much to her anguish, with only one leaving peacefully, one deciding to surrender, this is not my fight, It's kind of fucked up, but she had to do it. After the massacre, Michonne and Daryl recovered the children back to Alexandria. Following these events, Michonne decides to no longer allow strangers in Alexandria, and that kind of explains, that's kind of like a little origin story as to why, like Magna and all them were initially rejected. As a result, relationships between Alexandria and the other communities break down. And yeah, this explains a lot that we didn't get before. In the present, Aaron alerts Michonne of Daryl's group's presence at the Alexandria gates, including Connie, Henry, and Lydia. Again, a stranger, so she's going to be hesitant. Daryl vouches for Lydia to convince Michonne to let them take shelter. They stay long enough for Henry to get the medical care he needs, but Michonne refuses to provide them an escort to the kingdom. Because she did that before and it didn't go well, I guess. Later, Judith talks to Daryl, disappointed about how Michonne has been acting. So there's kind of like an interesting thing in the relationship that builds up in this episode. That night, Daryl, Connie, Henry, and Lydia take off to return to the kingdom, with Michonne seeing them off. In the morning, Michonne finds Judith is left on her own, having taken Brick's pistol. She accosts Negan about if he knows where Judith went, but he instead tells her that Judith is trying to follow what Carl has suggested for the communities, and upset that Michonne refuses to let anyone in. And Michonne doesn't even really realize she's like upset with her, but yeah. Michonne then goes off on her own and eventually catches up with Judith as she's surrounded by walkers. The two fight off the walkers. As Michonne takes care of Judith's non-fatal wounds, Judith tells Michonne that she remembers witnessing her coach Jocelyn and her children in order to rescue her, something Michonne was not aware of and had not talked about with her, as she was pretty young at the time. Judith then explains that she feels that Michonne no longer has love for their allies and that she went on her own to help them. They hug and reconcile and decide that they're going to need a change around here. Back in Alexandria, at Carl's grave, Michonne explains to Judith that they never wanted to bury another child, but after the incident with Jocelyn, she decided to make Alexandria only about those within, as to keep the children safe. Like, we don't want any more strangers. Like, these people can be dangerous, and you saw what happened with Jocelyn, Michonne realizes that Judith's concern has been, and agrees that they should help protect their allies, at least like the hilltop communities. They go off to catch up with Daryl's group via a horse-drawn carriage to help them arrive to the kingdom faster. They soon arrive and enter the kingdom, unaware that a pair of whisperers are watching them and plan to inform Alpha. And this is interesting because we haven't heard from Alpha in a while, and now, hey, she could be returning to the series. This is a pretty good episode. 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.99 out of 10, 20 reviews. An emotionally lacerating installment of The Walking Dead provides crucial backstory for the series' new status quo with a flashback structure that culminates in a shocking set piece that will leave even the most hard-bitten fans shaken. I really like this episode. Filled with betrayal, terror, torture, and the kind of gripping excitement that keeps you on the edge of your seat. I don't think we'd ever seen an episode like this again from AMC's zombie drama. Thank goodness. I was wrong here. It's been a while since we've gotten an episode this good. Some negatives, I guess. D+ on IndieWire. After a relatively solid strings of episodes, Scars is Season 9's first big stinker, a nasty piece of work that doesn't even have the courage of its own convictions. Well, that rating doesn't have any explanation to it, so leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Up next, we are talking about the brand new 9th episode of Season 3 of Dave. We are getting ready to end that show next week, and it's been a good one, so you don't want to miss that video. A lot of good conceptual discussions being made on that video.